Pavan Vemuri, welcome to the Neuropod. Glad you could join us today for the episode. Really excited to chat to you. Welcome, first of all.
Thank you, Chris. I'm also very excited to have this conversation. Looking
Great.
forward to it.
Well, yeah, just a quick introduction to you. Your background's kind of been in the automotive sector, specifically bringing machine learning at scale to companies like Ford. And I think, I'm really keen to understand exactly, excuse the pun, goes under the hood with machine learning into the automotive sector. I think lots going on around self-driving cars, etc. But there's a little bit more to it, and excited for you to share more about the models, teams, and products that you've built. Over to you, Pavan. Do you want to just talk people through your career from Cognizant Ford to now after you started automotive marketplace?
Yeah, definitely. I have at Cognizant. This was way back in India, with not knowing what to expect from the corporate world, straight out of graduation, undergrad, and then my first project that I was put into was with SDVerse, Science Direct and Scopus, the the publications. I was working as a programmer analyst, making sure all of the scholarly articles that folks wrote, the authorship details, the content of the article is published well. If there are any issues, we get notified, we fix them. So heavily into XML processing. So like schema validation, adhering if the article's content is to the schema validation, and if there are any issues, why are the issues, and all of those things. So it was really a good experience. But I'm a person that if I feel comfortable with anything, especially with my professional work, I look for a change immediately. So I was 2 years into it. I was feeling really comfortable. So I thought I'll need a change. So I moved to the US for my MS in computer science with Northern Illinois University in 2010. So I left my job in India. At that time, I think it was a huge deal because there was a recession. For me to find a job was a big thing. But I left my job and came to the US and pursued my MS in computer science. And my aim was to immediately, quickly complete the master's, learn, become a better person, and then immediately get into a good job in the US. That was my only aim at that time. So soon after my master's, which was done in 2011, I moved to Michigan, Novi, Michigan. From then on, I'm here to Stellantis as part of DXC Technologies, working as a technical analyst in the quality department of Stellantis. So what we do is we build applications which measures various quality aspects of the vehicles, such as reliability, durability, perceived quality, performance quality, and all of those things. So I was a developer back then, and also a subject matter expert for a few applications. And again, like I said, I was again feeling very comfortable with that role. Then I wanted a change. So I did an executive MBA with Oakland University in 2014.
Nice.
With digital leadership as the main focus area. And then I completed my MBA in 2016. I was soon elevated from subject matter expert to global lead and technical product owner for the same quality application. So we built a first at Stellantis global application, which was then used by 10,000 users in 5 regions like China, US, Brazil, and then Italy, and India. So 5 regions, global application. We also had, at that time, this was 2016, when translation was also not so huge. We also built in a translation tool for the application. I was very instrumental in learning how translation works, how you translate the static content on the application. How do you translate the dynamic content? A lot of challenges there. We built a translation team to oversee all of that. So that was really a great experience. And I took this application from scratch, from design, all the way to having 10,000 users on it, using in 5 different regions, globally well acclaimed. Anybody in Stellantis would know this application, would use this application. So then I thought, okay, I did that for 4 years. I thought now it's again time for a change. So I moved to Ford as a technical product manager for the advanced engineering group at Ford. So I've always did the like say the work that serves the present, but I wanted to do or be ahead of time at that time of my career. That's what I wanted. So I joined this advanced engineering group where they do cutting edge work, such as my very first project was the data quality inference engine, which cleanses the data coming from a vehicle system at the very upstream. A lot of the OEMs are tier ones here. They are heavy into data cleansing, but at the application level, the applications will cleanse the data, which results in a lot of tech debt and so forth. So I built this application which cleanses the data right when it comes from the vehicle with the help of ML models and ML algorithms by detecting anomalies, by detecting bad data and fixing it. And fixing it not just for the sake of fixing it, but with certain confidence that this is the right fix for the data, and so that the tech debt is reduced and every application gets the data in the right way. So that's one of the projects that I worked on at Advanced Engineering. And I also worked on an application where we set up the user profiles for folks who get onto an autonomous vehicle, like a ride sharing vehicle, where the task is for this application to take in user settings, which were set on the app, and convert them to machine understandable or machine readable format so that the in-vehicle processor processes the settings and sets everything up in the autonomous vehicle. So that's something I worked on when I was in the advanced engineering group. Then I moved to the advanced product group where we started productizing some ideas and looking for delivery teams. So one of the important things that I did at that time was build an MLOps platform, which manages, ships, monitors, and does everything for the ML models to be moved into the vehicle systems. So that's a huge need, because in a lot of ML models, a lot of data science teams, we're building a lot of ML models, which needs to be shipped into the vehicle. They don't have a central interface where they can, upload, manage, monitor, or even deploy those ML models. So we built a cool utility as part of this platform, which takes the ML model and deploys it to any edge device, such as a vehicle or wall box or mobile or anything. So that's what I did with Advanced Product Group. Then I moved to the Mark 1 ML, which is the Ford's machine learning platform. So this is a centralized way what I did at Advanced Product Group, where we built a centralized ML platform where everybody come in and use this central platform. Mark 1 ML was the exact opposite, where we have built ML components which are decentralized, which means we can push them to the internal data teams and have them use it and customize it for their needs. So that's another cool way to do things. So I really like that. So I moved to that team. I was leading the team, then building reusable components for internal data science teams to use it and all of that. So that was 2022. You wanted to say something, Chris?
No, just said very cool.
Yeah. So then I moved to, at that time, this was 2022, 23. It's when ChatGPT or the generative AI boom has started. So I was immediately made the AI product and strategy lead for same Mark 1 ML, where what we do is we look around at Ford try to improve the AI adoption. So we look around and see what use cases are a best fit for generative AI, and then we go through and work with the teams and help them adopt to AI and use generative AI. So I was kind of very fortunate to be at the right place, right time, where a transformational shift was happening in AI with generative AI, and I was way into it very early. So I built a lot of applications starting 2023, 2024, where there were many companies, many folks not even still getting into generative AI. I've already been launching some applications to production. So I was fortunate there as the AI product and strategy lead at Ford. Then again, as I was saying, it was time for a change. So I'm now the director of product engineering at SDVerse. I joined SDVerse last October. It's a shape-shifting concept when it comes to how automotive software is procured within the automotive industry. And I really like the concept, the challenge. I have always been at large companies. I wanted to see how working at a startup looks like. It's not a regular startup, though. It was founded by GM, Wipro, and Magna. And I'm now the director of product engineering, overseeing the product roadmap for the marketplace. Importantly, working on delivering cutting edge AI features, which improve the software discovery and product innovation within the marketplace. So
Nice.
yeah, that's pretty much about me, Chris.
Nice, yeah, really great introduction. And I guess for anyone listening, it was a very nice visual representation that you prepared as well. Yeah, you can see it on YouTube. But super interested to deep dive into some of those projects that you've done at SDVerse and Ford later in the episode. Um, but yeah, I guess more of an intro to you and software and product is currently shape shifting itself in terms of how AI is transforming both those roles. Um, what do you think kind of three values are guiding you in your career so far as these you go on these natural evolutions as you say you was immediately put into the role at Ford for GenAI leader, which I'm sure was quite a new technology. But what do you think the principles are that help you be successful in that role?
Um, I would say primarily three things that really shaped my career so far. Um, right from where I was and where I am right now. First is the idea or thought. I have spoken quite a bit about it in my introduction as well. I'm never comfortable with what I'm doing. I always feel you should be challenged every moment, and and that's the only way you'll grow. If you're comfortable, your growth stalls. Is what I truly believe. That's the first and foremost. It's like a career principle for me. And second is, I think, ownership. When it comes to ownership, there's a subtle difference between performing what your role is or what your role demands versus owning responsibilities. I always believed when you see a problem, you should own it and resolve it, even if sometimes technically it is not your responsibility. I always truly believe, like, say, if I see a problem and if it's in a department that I work with, not particularly my responsibility, I still see problem as a problem and I try to help and solve it. And that's what helped me become a better person. And I learn from it as well. And third, I always look to, say, generate impact. It's just a question I ask myself all the time. What is the impact you are generating by working on something? Um, like just if you by just asking this question, you will just start looking at cost savings. You'll start looking at who are the users, what is changing for them if I do a certain task, and you will start building cutting edge applications for those, and you will start growing in your career. So that really helped me. So it's always looking for this impact, not just doing things for the sake of doing things, but looking for the impact that they generate. So these principles, they are not new, um, and they work everywhere, irrespective of whether you are in a large organization or a startup. People always will respect results and dedication. That's what I feel. And that's what
Yeah,
worked for me as well.
I think super insightful. I think the last one around impact, I think in the age of AI where it's, not too difficult for someone to create a model and create a fancy model, tying it back to the business problem and showing what kind of impacts you'll have, whether it's cost savings or revenue generation or efficiencies. I think that's what um, really separates a good candidate or leader from a great one. And I think being able to demonstrate that is really, if you're looking to compete against AI, which I don't think we're quite there yet, but I think certainly moving forward when companies look to um, implement more agents, for example, people who can show the most impact will be the ones that are kind of winning. Okay, thank you for sharing that. In terms of lessons as well that you've learned, again, just to tie it back to the market's changing, um, it's not easy to be a junior person in the market, in my opinion, right now. And if we can pass on a few things that will help just one person, I think that's worthwhile. So, what do you think some of the lessons that you've learned, Pavan, in your career, um, and that you'd like to pass on to anyone trying to be that next AI product leader?
Um, yeah, the actual biggest lesson that I have learned is that AI product leadership specifically is not about technology. It is about understanding the problem and understanding the business need first. That's, I think, pivotal. And I have had the chance to work on some brilliant, excellent AI product ideas over my career so far, and there were many which succeeded and many which did not. The ones that succeeded, they weren't necessarily the most technically sophisticated or technically competent ideas. They were the ones that were solving some real pain points of people. For example, we have worked on delivering a semantic search application for content creators within Ford. And it was a real success because semantic search is way, when you look at the flavors of AI use cases, semantic search is probably the least technically competent, because it's all you do is just compare the context and search it with the context and find whatever you find and just show that. But it really solved a business problem of knowing what content to produce and knowing what are the rules, what are some of the things. So that solving of the business problem and the idea that fits into this solving of the business problem is what made it successful. Another thing that comes to my mind is AI product leadership specifically demands you to speak business language, and it's not just technical language. Say, I have learned this the hard way when, sometimes I go to meetings talking about model accuracy or retrieval augmented generation. I would observe a total disconnect when I go to meetings and talk about very, very technical things. So then I started to think to myself, how would I articulate this well? So then I started to talk in terms of the impact this use case generates, such as reducing the development time for some teams, or improving the adoption, or in this content or content creation example, improving the discovery of the content that they can produce at Ford. When I started doing that, I started getting more attention, and I was starting to have more teams adopt to our platform and our ML components. And third lesson that I have learned is implement fast. I have seen a lot of people, they have brilliant AI strategies, brilliant ideas, but they never made it past PowerPoint presentations. This approach, of implementation, will at least make you to be comfortable with failure. Mostly when it comes to traditional software, the way things are developed are different. You go to requirements, you go design and then you implement it. But with AI, with things changing, and also the usability or the POC level building is so fast that you should start building something. Even if you fail fast, most of the times you fail, you learn something from it. You learn how AI systems think, how they work, and then you can apply that to some other use case, which will make you succeed.
Mm.
So that's, I think those are the things that really are the lessons learned that I have.
Yeah, that's interesting. And I think that from my experience recruiting product managers in the past, finding um, technical product manager who's maybe been a developer and then someone who's commercial, like yourself, is quite difficult because the two ends of the spectrum. Do you think, just taking it back to your introduction, that having your MBA and then having been a developer, that helped you kind of take that technical knowledge and explain it in maybe a commercial or impactful way? Um, and I guess that is often a criticism for really technical project managers, that they just don't get the business side. Is there any tips that you could give to someone to help them make that jump?
Yeah,
But not everybody can do an MBA. So is there anything that you could point them to?
yeah. I think it's always about interviews help and getting to, let's say, if you're talking to somebody from the business side and trying to explain a certain use case that could really be helpful with AI or with any other technical aspect of it. Firstly, before you start the conversation, go to a level where you assume that they don't know anything about any of the technology aspects that you're talking about. You just make the assumption and go to that level and start explaining things. And that's when they connect with you. If they are technically competent, it's fine. They will still listen to what you say because you are at a very core and a basic level of explaining things. They'll still listen to you. If they are not, then they'll appreciate you for that, where you are explaining things to them in a way that's easy to understand, and then they will be on board with your idea and with your aspect very quickly, and then they'll then become your champions and take the use case further. And that's really very helpful.
Cool. Yeah, really well explained. Thank you. And again, just tying this into the theme of kind of future proofing yourself as a product leader or product manager in the, now the age of AI. Again, there's no silver bullet to this. I suppose no one knows what's going to happen in the next 6 months. But what advice would you give to someone who's maybe concerned there and wants to take steps to be the best AI PM they can?
Uh, Firstly, I think I believe it is about future proofing yourself about against AI, right? Firstly, I would say for anybody who is getting into AI project management or AI product management for that matter, I would say the idea that we are not competing against AI and that we are collaborating with AI should be the first principle that they should begin with, right? I see a lot of people. I meet a lot of people who think using AI feels like, taking shortcuts or not doing real work somehow. I see that a lot. So to me, that's like using a calculator is like taking shortcuts in math. When calculators became common, we did not stop teaching math or applying math, right? We started focusing on problem solving. Same thing is happening with AI, where we are moving from doing routine tasks to solving complex problems because the routine and the time-taking tasks can be made very easy with the help of AI. So stop feeling like you're competing with AI. That's the first thing. And that's the first thing they also should preach to others who are feeling like that, right? And then if we are starting today, the first thing I would do is learn basics, understand how AI works, not just I see a lot of people using ChatGPT for just writing emails or summarizing things, but understanding how these systems work is very important. Then focus on skills that are uniquely human, such as problem solving, creativity, or emotional intelligence, and use AI to help apply those skills more efficiently. And last but not the least, AI landscape is ever changing and evolving, and that too at an insanely fast pace. So I would say become comfortable with constantly learning. Spend time, put time aside to learn and evolve. I myself spend 2 or 3 hours every day learning new things about AI. It just has become my second nature. I definitely will not end my day without learning at least 1 or 2 new things, trying new things, and so forth. That's how I keep myself up to date. There are a lot of free courses out there. Um, Take them. There are a lot of cool ideas that you can do, build some cool projects, and in that process, understand the strengths, weaknesses, limitations of AI. Don't wait for the perfect role or the perfect opportunity. Start doing things, build a lot of frameworks. I experimented with different approaches. I failed a lot. But most importantly, if you do all of these things, when a big opportunity approaches, you are ready for it because you have been doing the work day in, day out.
Super interesting. I think first of all, I admire your commitment to learning every day. I think yes, it's super super useful. Okay, thank you. There's some really good insights there that I'm sure people will find useful as they go on their product journey. Um, Moving into kind of some of the work you've done in AI and automotive, something I'm particularly keen to explore. We've had people, founders from really well-known startups on the show, and going 0 to 1 in the startup. It's a theme that I think is covered a lot, but I don't think people talk about going from 0 to 1 in a big automotive organization like Ford or in general, and what kind of unique challenges that can present. So yeah, but let's dive into your time at Ford. And as you said earlier, you led the Generative AI Center of Excellence. Just talk us through some of the hurdles and projects getting things into production, and particularly around going from 0 to 1 in that new Center of Excellence.
My time at Ford was really, I think, game changing for me because I was fortunate to work on advanced topics, advanced technologies way ahead of time. I think not many will get that opportunity. I really feel thankful and grateful for that. It was an amazing journey. It was primarily because of the challenges I faced, not because of like the success I saw, but the challenges I faced, which provided me the opportunity to learn and grow. The major hurdles, if we're not technical, it is organizational for the vast majority. I can take a quick example. This was 2023 September when generative AI and the flavors and use cases were fairly new. We were working on developing a retrieval augmented generation application, RAG application. We wanted to bring in a vector database which fits perfect needs for us. So we were evaluating all vector DBs and we selected Quadrant. Yeah, first of all, amazing tool, amazing at what they do in the vector space. And we were very excited to use Quadrant at Ford. But when we started doing the analysis, meaning the Quadrant as vector DB was perfect, but the way it is structured and way Ford internally is structured, we could not we could not bring it into Ford because of the way it is structured, and it is very difficult for us to set up with everything that's internal at Ford. So eventually it was not usable, and we ended up using Elasticsearch as a good compromise. So you can see how large organizations such as Ford have a lot of security, compliance, approval processes, or organizations set up in a certain way, or infrastructure set up in a certain way, which makes it very difficult to work on advanced stuff. And you have to cross those challenges, make some compromises, and still get to work on things. And that really helped me to learn a lot. So, and the other challenge is the various maturity levels of data quality within Fold. Like say, um, AI, even traditional and generative AI is only as good as the data you feed it, right? So a significant amount of time was spent cleaning and setting up data before we could actually work on real AI use cases. And the biggest challenge in taking projects to production is again the adoption. So we can build the most sophisticated AI application in the world, but if people do not want to use it, it fails. So bringing everybody on board, taking that mindset from, hey, I'm using these traditional setups for a long time. No, there is something cutting edge, something really
Yeah.
makes me productive that's out there. Use for me to use that for us to convince people to do that was one of the biggest challenges. And
Yeah.
all of these, made me strong, made me learn a lot of things, and made me a better person actually.
Just on that, I think it's a super important point when lots of organizations that have never used AI, or maybe they're using some kind of predictive analytics or something like that at the moment, which is usually siloed into the data or the AI team. Now we're talking about rolling out AI to an entire organization. And it's certainly something I've faced in the past, not with AI, but bringing a new technology to an organization. What really helped you there in terms of helping people understand the technology and then getting them to then adopt it?
Uh, so when it comes to helping people understand, there were like people with different spectrums that we dealt with. Some of them technically competent and they can understand what we are trying to do. So those were the easy ones. Some of them not technically competent, but still, um, aboard with our philosophy, our platform. That was also very easy. But there were some who are not technically competent and not also aligned with the idea that we are bringing to the table. For those, what we did is we went use case based, where we have, built some specific use cases just to show them the flavor, just to get them on board and try to have a feel for what we can do with AI. And then they were on board. It takes a lot of time for it, but we were patient enough to do that and get them on board. So that understanding the perspective of whom you are dealing with really helped us to gauge what kind of an approach we can take with them.
Okay, no, super insightful. And segueing nicely into the next question, as we mentioned at the start of the podcast, when you think machine learning, and automotive, you maybe think computer vision, self-driving cars and, lane assistance, things like that. But in terms of generative AI and how that's playing a role within automotive, what's your thoughts there, and how is it impacting the industry?
Oh yeah, with you said it right. With the advances in software defined vehicles, right now a typical vehicle nowadays has over 100 million lines of code going into it. That's more than any traditional software application, right? With that being said, generative AI has a huge role to play in automotive industry. Just recently, CES 2025 in Vegas, we have seen humongous amounts of generative AI features on display by various key features. LG had a whole suite of applications called AlphaWare, MetaWare, and so forth. There are many other companies, Bosch. They had a lot of AI applications that go into the vehicle. So, what does that mean, right? We will pretty soon be able to naturally converse with our vehicle and ask it to perform various things that were totally unknown to us in the past. That's a totally different experience in the vehicle, right?
Yeah.
So there are situations where, you can say when you're going on a particular street, the vehicle tells you, hey, you were in the same spot last year. Do you want to see a video of how the things were in on the street last year when you were here? And if you say there is a cool screen that shows up and gives you the video of how things were, or how you were driving, or what was the experience last year, same time. So these are all really cool applications. And recently also, I think about a week or 10 days ago, Tesla released its AI feature into the car. It says like Grok is in the car now, which lets you ask anything, such as, you can ask for news headlines, you can
Mm.
ask for information on topics, or you can ask for it to set up the temperature to a certain extent, and so forth. So you can now naturally converse with your vehicle. That's a huge plus with generative AI
Yeah.
coming into the vehicles. And also looking at the advances in the automotive industry with respect to generative AI and how things are changing, there is what I also feel is there is a greater need for safe thinking, which is how to essentially govern these AI systems in tomorrow's vehicles, right? I actually wrote a cool article on this topic. I am looking for potential suitors to submit the article, but I wrote a whole article where it talks about what are the various things that you need to keep in tab for moving or deploying generative AI features into the vehicle. It should not be, let's say, the feature that I was saying, do you want to see a video? The experience should not be distracting to the driver, right? When the driver is driving. So there are things like that. Or if you are asking Grok in Tesla certain questions, there are certain things that it should not answer. There are certain things that it should do in a
Mm.
certain way. So all of those things are also very much needed. And then on top of this, there are also several other use cases within automotive industry, not in vehicles per se, but within automotive industry, which can massively help the industry, such as, if you are looking at some sales and marketing teams within large organizations, they can start carving out persona profiles for customers who have a higher likelihood of buying certain vehicles. Traditionally, these things to say jot down persona profiles takes a lot of time, lot of data. They need to read through and understand what the customer needs, and then put them into certain persona profiles. With generative AI, that becomes very easy because it's all largely text. It understands the patterns, and then it can give you the persona profiles easily, right?
Mm.
We actually worked on one of those projects when I was at Ford. And then there are also a lot of retrieval generative AI features for like content creators, which is one of my example I took, legal teams to do some negotiations, and several other teams. So these are all peripheral applications that largely help towards the bigger, automotive needs as well, not necessarily going into their vehicles. So there is a
Mm.
lot to look forward to when it comes to generative AI in the automotive industry, and especially in the vehicles, and a lot of caution to be taken as well as we build
Yeah.
these systems.
When you was describing, basically generative AI avatars within the car or personalities, it made me think of the old TV series Knight Rider, with David Hasselhoff, and he had his talking car. So that's both exciting and scary at the same time.
Yeah, yep,
um,
yep.
and I put persona profiles as part of my role as a founder at go to market. Super interested to hear about the accuracy of that if you have it, but if not, we can move on.
Yeah. So not more than the accuracy, um, for it to be, let's say, the good thing here is they have had those persona profiles already built through traditional ways, and now they have a comparison of what generative AI can bring, right?
Mm.
There were obviously certain things that generative AI did better, certain things that generative AI did not do better, right? So what they ended up doing is using the best of both worlds, where there are certain aspects that they have traditionally missed. They have included them in their traditional aspects, and certain aspects which were poor here, they chose to scrape them and continue on with their traditional methods. So I think the best of both worlds sometimes also helps. So the accuracy was, I would say, 50-60%, but the time savings to get to 50-60% was really huge and helpful. To take it to 80 or 90 with by merging it with what they have. So
Yeah,
that was really helpful.
yeah, that's really good to know. Okay, and yeah, moving on to the next part of the podcast. Yeah, you took a lot of projects through to implementation and production. I think it's around 4 out of the 10 AI projects, which I think is much higher than the average. I was chatting to Sean Wheeler, the chief scientist of AMP on the last episode, and um, also have a business review article that I read a while back says around 95% of generative AI projects fail. So, um, yeah, in your opinion, what separates the ones that make it from don't?
Once that don't. Okay. Yeah. Um, um, I I think you are right. A lot of projects, firstly, do not, they just will be POCs. What I typically say is with the generative AI specifically, right? You can get to 80% of the product that you're trying to build within a couple of days. That's really that fast and simple, right? Let's say you're building a chatbot. For you to build for the chatbot, let's say you have a bot which answers questions, which answers follow-up questions, which can suggest improvements to your questions. Let's say these are the features that you need in the bot. You can build these three features in a couple of days, right? It's that easy. But by the 80% is done, but the last 20% is the quality and the crux of the bot, where how are the guardrails for the bot, how is it handling edge cases. Those are the things that build trust from the users to the bot. Those are the ones that take a lot of time, right? So concentrating on quality was the most important factor for and the differentiating factor between a AI product going to production and AI product not going. And also the other things that majorly impact is it solving a real problem? The ones that move to production quickly were actually solving a burning problem. So there is a real rush or a need from the stakeholders to implement this as soon as possible. Like earlier also I was talking about the semantic search application for content creators. It is solving a real problem of discovery. So there is a push for it to go to production. So those things move fast. Second, also major factor is data readiness. So teams which had clean, accessible data from day one were better positioned to go to production than those who were like, who did not. They were stuck for months getting data prepped, cleaning data, and so forth. And third, also is organizational support. In large companies, we will need champions at every level, right? The successful projects had business partners who really understood the value and on board with the idea of using AI and strived for the implementation of the project. So those things are very pivotal. Firstly, like quality is the most important thing. Next, solving a real problem. Do you have the data needed? You don't have to do anything fancy. Do you really have the data that's needed for this application to run perfectly like you think it should? And do you have the support from
Mm.
whom will be the end users or who will be using it at the end? So these are the most important factors, I would say. And those are the differentiators between what went to production and what did not.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense, and I think what I like there is it sounds like you're taking care of the basics before you try and do anything fancy. And I think I'm not a machine learning engineer or product manager, but certainly the things I do in my daily work, it is about getting the basics right. So yeah, makes a lot of sense. Moving on to the 0 to 1 stuff in a large enterprise. What are the challenges to innovation? Appreciate you're going to have a bigger budget than any startup. Well, not any startup, but a lot of startups. But what were the challenges and benefits?
Uh, Primarily, I would say large companies mostly are designed for stability, right? They are very less designed for innovation. There are teams within the org. Some teams they are innovating, but most of the org is always designed for stability, right? Which means every new idea just goes through multiple approvals, or security reviews or compliance checks and so forth. That's you just have to be prepared for that, right? I will just go back to my previous example about Quadrant, right? Even though it is an outstanding vector database, we could not bring it into Ford because of the way Ford was set up internally, right? So when it comes to generative AI, the biggest challenge is finding the right champion for the right use case, right? So that the impact that we are trying to create is actually realized, right? It is very important for the teams that understand the benefits generative AI brings to the table and embrace the change at the same time. And that does not happen most of the times. And that was one of the primary challenges that we faced when it comes to curbing innovation, right? You want to do a lot of things, but you don't see many champions helping you along the way to get to do those things. So you will see delays, you will see frustrations, and then you'll have to stretch or sometimes change the path to try to reach the end goal. And there will be delays and so forth. So we will have to be prepared for that, especially like a platform like Mark1ML, where we are working with a lot of internal teams. That happened to us a lot. We are all very passionate. We were very passionate, trying to do a lot of good things, but there is a lot of resistance. There is a lot of lack of acceptance and so forth. There are, of course, a lot of benefits as well. Even after all of these challenges, the hurdles that you face, when you succeed at a large enterprise, the impact is massive, right? Our platform was finally, when we were able to bring in everybody together, rally. It was used by 174, 175 internal teams within Ford, which is huge, right? And then especially with the Ford's machine learning platform, and that means a lot. And you see the respect also come to you when you talk to a lot of folks, because you were patient, you were dealing with different use cases or different challenges, with the way that they should be dealt with and so forth. You see a lot of respect. Those are the benefits that you see when you overcome all of the challenges that I stated about.
Mm. Okay, yeah, super interesting as well. In terms of taking this slightly more technical in terms of MLOps and infrastructure in enterprise, it's certainly a topical challenge right now. How are we using how are you using machine learning and to improve challenges in the automotive sector?
Uh, I would like to quote an example here. One of the important projects at Ford that I worked on, I mentioned this earlier as well, was the data quality inference engine, which is an application which cleanses data at the very upstream of the data collection realm, right? So this is the application that receives. So when we designed this, we designed it in such a way that this is the one that receives the data from the vehicle. Vehicles send a lot of data points, such as current location, speed of the vehicle, if there was a hard braking, hard acceleration, and so forth, right? But a lot of the times, there are a lot of data issues with the data points that vehicles send towards these applications, such as sometimes you see the vehicle location somewhere in the middle of an ocean, or when a trip is started, the trip never ends. So you see excessively long trips which run for thousands of days. So those are data points which, let's say you are a downstream application, you are building a certain thing. You want to know what is an average trip mileage for some use case. If there are these anomalous issues where anomalies where there are excessively long trips, it just reduces the uh, quality of the application that you are building. So what we did is we built ML algorithms to detect these anomalies and cleanse data so that the downstream receives clean data, right? So this approach helped in multiple ways. There is no duplication of effort to cleanse data within downstream applications. So every application need not set up their own shop to cleanse the data. And then you apply ML rules once, and then all of the downstream applications receive consistent, clean data the exact same way. So there is a lot of consistency built in as well. And we also reduce latency by being at the very top, and not every application stream the data. So even if they are streaming, we built it in a way that we have reduced the latency so that we cater for those applications as well. And the other ways I think we helped, ML helped is as the Mark on ML were the Ford's machine learning platform, we built a lot of ML components. We built it traditionally using Kubeflow. We also built it using Airflow for multiple internal teams, which helped them move their on-prem models to cloud. So there was a whole aspect within Ford of moving everything to cloud. We helped a lot of on-prem models move to cloud and thus save a lot of dollars in the order of millions sometimes in on-prem costs. And previously at Stellantis as well, when I was working with these quality applications, one of the important things was how do you prevent these warranty costs? They are huge for Stellantis. So since I was working in quality and I know most of the issues come in an early build phase for the vehicles, I built this ML algorithm which detects issues in the earlier build phases when the vehicle is not in production yet, which could potentially become warranty issues. So I married the data from earlier build phases to see from the warranty issues data to see if this could potentially become a warranty issue and flag them ahead of time to teams to help reduce them or prevent them when before the vehicle goes to production, and thus preventing warranty costs. So that was also really huge where machine learning has improved some automotive challenges we faced.
Yeah, I think what I like is you can bring it back to the business problem or the technical projects that you're working on. And I think that really shines through, which is, I think sets a great example. Moving on to more hiring and onboarding, you're part of your role as a leader. You reduce some onboarding times from 5 days to 2 hours. And as a recruiter myself, it's a problem we're facing with a big organization right now. You know, you go through these long-winded processes, their candidates jump through hoops and they finally get offered the job. And, you know, they can join the organization and it feels a little bit underwhelming because of these bloated onboarding time. So I might write some notes down here myself. You know, what was your secret sauce there?
So this was primarily onboarding uh, internal data science teams for using our ML platform because we build these reusable ML components, right? So we've helped internal data science teams by shipping these reusable ML components. So we call this whole process of the data science teams using our platform as onboarding, which is the process of shipping the code to the internal teams. And we also provide them a cloud instance and so forth, right? So this onboarding process, as most of the times, data scientists are not good software engineers, right? They are good at processing data, understanding the data, and trying to see which ones are the ones that they use, which is the data set they use to train the model, but they are not good at software engineering, right? So my first opportunity was this onboarding process was taking 5 days because of the fact that we ship these ML codes. So our idea of this platform is data scientists should only focus on model development, um, and so forth. They should not be focusing on the other things such as building data pipelines or writing deployment utilities for deploying this model somewhere. They should not be focusing on all of those things. They should focus on what they do best, which is model development, right? So this process taking 5 days was very frustrating. Sometimes even 2 weeks was very frustrating. And I just moved to the team as a lead for the whole platform. And then the first opportunity I took was I said, this onboarding process taking 5 days is way too much. Let us bring it down. And I took it as a challenge. And the key decisions are tech enablers to make that happen. Or there are a lot of things because we also give a cloud instance. We give GitHub code to the data science team. So we have to talk to our internal GitHub teams, internal cloud support teams. So effective collaboration between them, trying to articulate again, even if we are talking to fellow technical teams, we should articulate it in business terms. So I just fairly simply said, we want to automate the whole process of provisioning a cloud instance and giving the GitHub and then also shipping the code. What can we do here? This is what our ideas are. And trusting my instincts, taking a calculated risk on some of the things which are way too early in the technical realm, like new technologies that we picked up, which helped us with a lot of automation, but it comes with a risk of whether this will work or whether there are any other issues when it goes to production. So all of those things really helped me. Good collaboration, taking risks, and always finding opportunities um, to automate. And we got it down to fully automating this whole process with no software engineering skills needed for the data scientists and brought it down to 2 hours. All they need to do is fill out one form and click submit. Everything happens behind the scenes. And then they will receive a GitHub repo with all our ML component code ready to, and also a CI/CD pipeline deployed, ready to be published anywhere they want and start testing it. All they need to do is put in their model code. That's all. So that was a huge win, and it was primarily because of the risk taken and also an effective collaboration between multiple teams. That really helped.
Nice. And yeah, I think you've segued it nicely onto the next topic around collaboration and how would you then get technical leaders to scale this and to scale AI and ML across 100 plus product teams. I think you've done, which is quite a lot. What advice could you give there?
Yeah, I kind of touched base very briefly earlier. When you are trying to scale an ML platform across multiple product teams, right, you'll face a lot of resistance. It's a lot of challenges. Um, First and foremost is which I have learned it the hard way. I wasn't in a customer facing world until then. I was always leading applications where people already are on board with the idea. So this was a really big challenge for me, is to embrace the resistance with an open mind. It just hits differently, right? When you are coming up with a cutting edge idea and people on the other side say, I'm just fine with the way I am. I don't need this. So you have to bring them on board. So firstly, what we did is we started with teams that want to adopt it or are on board with the idea, right? As it makes our life easy and reduces the effort to convince teams quite a bit, right? So focus on early adopters. And when we make them successful, the success speaks for itself, right? So now you have folks who have used it and they say, okay, it's really working for me. Then we try to build reusable components from the early success stories. So generally, um, this is again traditionally our tendency is to build custom solutions in order to have the customer user solution. That's traditionally our mindset, right? We want to have more customers. But that will create a lot of tech debt and also increase challenges going further, like say maintaining solutions in the future. So what we did is we've changed the approach to see, okay, we have now talked to 10 teams. What are some of the things that can be taken that are common for all 10 teams? Let's say a data processing pipeline. They have data in BigQuery, for example, all of them, and they need a data processing pipeline which takes this data from BigQuery and deploys it or makes it available for training a model. So we built a reusable component which connects data to BigQuery. All they have to do is give their project ID and the BigQuery dataset ID, and it works fine. So trying to use our commonalities and building reusable components out of them really helped. The other thing that massively helped is coming up with metrics such as, let's say we speak to 20 teams, what is the adoption rate? Tracking how many people are using the platform. So we have built a dashboard which shows what is the adoption rate, how many people are using it, what are those applications, how many of them have taken them to production. So we can quickly gauge, okay, we are talking to 20 teams, only 4 of them are going to production. There's something wrong. We need to do more interviews, see what their pain points are, why are they not able to use it, and then build something out of it, right? So that also really helped, that feedback gathering and how quickly they could deploy models with our boilerplate code, how often they came back for more features. These are all metrics that you can tell that your product is going in a certain direction and if it's successful or not. So those really help solve problems. And then we are not building impressive technology. If we are like solving real problems, that would really help. But the hardest part is the cultural change, right? Technical people, even though they are data scientists, they often resist platforms. They want to build everything on their own, right? So we need to show them that our platform actually makes them more productive and it will not kill their creativity. We need to build that confidence that it is there to augment them, make them more productive. And that was really, that's what really helped. And whatever we did keeping that in mind. Um, so
Cool.
yeah, those are some of the things I feel, um, helped us move across a lot of product teams.
Yeah, it's super insightful again. Just find a bit of the technical part of the podcast, just to flip your enterprise experience into your startup experience at SDVerse. Do you want to just talk people through very briefly about some of the different types of machine learning problems that you're working on at SDVerse
Yeah.
and
Yep.
a marketplace for automotive is quite unique.
Yeah. So in order to, I think, in order to explain how we are using AI and generative AI into the marketplace experience, let me take you through a typical buyer journey, right? Any marketplace, you'll have buyers and sellers. Buyers are the ones who look for products on the storefront. Sellers upload the products from a back office or behind the scenes or a seller portal and make them active so that they are visible on the storefront. So a typical buyer journey on a marketplace, this is for automotive software, is firstly searching for the products. Next, once you search for the products, you can compare the products. Then third is once you have compared, you nail down on one product, you want to discover more of that product, what the product does. So those are the three important things that go into any buyer's decision of procuring a software or not. The important concept of SDVerse as such is to shrink down the procurement time it takes from the time the buyer decides to buy a product to the time they have procured. We want to shrink it down, make the information readily available for the buyer. So when it comes to search, what we are doing is we are building a three-way search. One, keyword search, which allows you to search for the keywords in the product names. Then the second is context-based search, Let's say you want a park assist software that is specialist or specialized in parking at compact spaces. You should not be, searching for park assist and then looking through the products, which and see and find out which product is specialized in parking at compact spaces. You should be able to type that in. Say park assist software that is specialized in parking at compact spaces, and you should be able to get the software back. And and then third, you should be able to give more details, not just a single sentence, and still be able to find the software that you need. So this is with respect to search. Once you have searched for the product, then let's say the buyer has 3 or 4 products. We want to not just do attribute by attribute plain comparison, but what we want to do is compare or ask for, let's say, some specifications from the buyer and compare and see which products meet those specifications. So out of the three or odd products that you have as a buyer, you have nailed down which ones meet your specifications more. So that's another generative AI use case where we are matching contextually what the buyer needs. Then once the buyer has nailed down on one product, let's say these are automotive software products. So they have a lot of technical specifications. Sometimes these specification documents are over 300 pages. So for somebody to read through the 300 pages and get to know that intricate details or a specific question that they need is humanly impossible. So what we built is a product discovery chatbot, which allows you to chat with this technical specification of the document. So if they have a specific question, they could really ask that question. The bot answers the question, and then that's it. They will be good with that. So and then we also want to build some cool features later on in the RFI, RFP processes as well for the procurement. That comes later, but immediately these are some of the things that are already in flight that we are building and making the software discovery and innovation really accessible to the buyer.
Nice. Yeah, I'm really keen to see follow the journey, to be honest, and see how things play out for you. I think it's definitely a unique approach. I think that ties up the technical part of the show today. Thanks for sharing your knowledge there. I think just the final part on culture, and then we'll talk about have some fun around talking about AI for the future, which is finger in the air type stuff at the moment. But just before we do that, do you want to just talk us through how you build trusted engineering teams and in product, and help shape culture, because it's more important than ever with AI coming into workflows, etc.
Yeah, that's much needed. I think building trust with engineering teams is absolutely critical. I think especially when you are trying to get them to adapt to a platform that you have built for them, right? So one thing I quickly realized, I touched this also very briefly earlier. There are 3 different types of teams that we deal with, right? First type, teams who are technically competent and understand your philosophy. They are the easy ones. They always see the value immediately. Then they will then evaluate the technical approach. They become your early adopters and your champions. So these are the easy ones. These teams, they helped us refine the platform and become our internal advocates initially. So the easy ones. The second type is teams who have understood the philosophy, but they do not have the technical competency in ML. So these are teams, they want to use machine learning, but they don't know how to build it from scratch most of the times, or they don't have the right people in their teams. So they are a bit tougher because of the technical barrier, right? But they are also motivated to learn. They just need some, support and guidance. The third type are teams who are neither technically competent nor they understand your philosophy. These are the most difficult because they see us as a threat to their existence, right? Or they think that we are trying to replace them. or make their work irrelevant, or they resist adoption because they sometimes are afraid that it exposes their limitations, right? So my approach was different for each of these groups. For the first group, I focused on just technical discussions and roadmap alignment because they are already there. Boom. For the second group, we conducted extensive demos, lunch and learns, workshops to upskill them. So we made sure they felt supported, not judged. So they are on board quickly for the second group as well. For the third group, we went a bit um, different or against our philosophy, where we took upon use cases for these groups and implemented the use cases to build confidence. And we helped them in their hiring needs. So we said, okay, let us now look at your technical competency within your team. This is the tech stack that we are coming with. This is your technical competency. Now let's see what are the gaps and what are your hiring needs. In the meantime, while you're hiring, because we are also helping them with their hiring needs, in the meantime, we will also build you a use case as a MVP, so that once you are done with your hiring, we have this MVP. So you're not starting from zero, you're starting from somewhere, and then slowly we push them towards the path of the adoption. So that's what really works. So essentially, you have to work with the customer. You have to be aligned with what the customer's needs are, where they are in the process, and it will all fall into place. There will be some delays with some customers. There will be some resistance with some customers, but at the end of the day, you have to work according to the customer's needs,
Mm.
and it will all fall into place.
Nice. Again, super relevant and super insightful. So thanks for sharing that, Pavan. It came across really well. Okay, yeah, moving on to just a bit of fun now. It'll be interesting to maybe come back in 6 months or even a year and see what's come true and what hasn't, because again, nobody really knows this stuff. But yeah, do you want to just go on record and say, having maybe lived through some of the more traditional models that have been developed to now GenAI, what are you excited to see?
Yeah, I think it's all over the internet nowadays that 2025 is the year of AI agents. I truly see it. I think I believe you also wrote this today or yesterday that uh, the lot of startups who are on primarily on agentic AI are receiving a lot of attention and funding. They are good.
Yeah,
They are
I think
good,
around
doing good in funding.
around
Correct. Good.
450 million. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, which shows there is something to play for over there, right?
Mm.
And agentic AI is huge. It's groundbreaking. It's game changing. And I have also been working on a lot with agentic AI. I have developed a framework, which I have also spoken about in a lot of conferences, which allows you to orchestrate AI agents for automotive research. So, my framework essentially brings the best of both worlds. Let's say you look at Perplexity or OpenAI's deep research, you don't have control over how the agents work there. They are already wired. And then you just take the output. But the other thing is you cannot marry that output to your proprietary data, right? What some of these agentic frameworks will help us do is build these frameworks where you can get the best of both worlds, where you can go out and research, be in total control of that research that you're doing, and also come back and marry that information with your proprietary information within your company and get out with action items or tasks or status and so forth. So that's what I'm doing for automotive research. I'll soon open source it, um, but I'm almost there. And then the other area, I think that will definitely something to keep a close tab on is multimodality. We all know there are a lot of text-based models, right? But automotive industry, as such, is mostly visual, right? When it comes to manufacturing plants or so forth, it's visual. So we are dealing with, like say, part diagrams or CAD files or assembly instructions or quality inspections. via image processing. So the more AI can understand and process images, there is already a lot of advancement, but I'm looking forward to more of those. Video and text put together, we will be able to transform, how we work in the automotive world. That is something I am also keeping a close tab on. And the third is the edge AI. Right now, most of the AI systems work on cloud, but automotive needs real-time decisions for some of the things, at least, if not all. So AI running in vehicles or manufacturing equipments is the next breakthrough, is what I'm thinking. Already there are a lot of enhancements there, but I'm really looking forward to that. I think
Yeah.
by the end of next year, you will see a lot more of these generative AI features, flavors in vehicle systems, where the vehicle systems are also able to manage the high compute that is needed.
Nice. Yeah, sounds awesome. When you do have your framework ready, by the way, please share it. I'm not sure when we'll
Yeah.
release this, but as someone who's trying to weave agentic systems through our recruitment workflows, I'd be interested in if we can learn anything
Oh,
from
cool.
automotive agents and bring it to
Yes.
recruitment.
Yeah, I can share the presentation with you if you'd like to see that. I'll share.
Yeah, just send me the link and I'll attach it on to the YouTube links
Yeah.
or comments to the Apple podcast if anyone's interested in that. And yeah, moving on to the next final few questions. This is something I'm really keen to know because selfishly I want to see if there's any tools that you use that I can maybe use to make me more productive. But what tools are you using to be productive in AI right now?
Yeah, I'm a heavy AI user, as you can see by now. I'm also a very cautious user as well at the same time. I use Claude heavily. I'm a avid user of Claude,
Mm.
primarily because of the MCP support that it gives. I have developed many cool MCP servers myself, and I have seen a lot of gains of utilizing these MCP servers. So a lot of time savings or analysis, a lot of it happens through my regular use of Claude and MCP. So that I'm definitely, and I'm also a heavy user of ChatGPT. Over the period of time, what I have realized is Claude is very good at writing,
Mm.
whereas ChatGPT is more creative. Is what I felt,
Yeah.
or the GPT models, that is.
Do you think Claude
So
is better for writing on the paid or freemium?
paid, I believe, because the one feature that I regularly use is you can set your own writing style, where you can upload all of your writings and give it a theme, and then all you have to do is put out what content you are putting, because it already has all of your writing style. It converts all of that to
Oh,
your
nice.
writing style. That's a real game changer. Um, ChatGPT also has that feature, but it's hidden under the menus. So it's not exclusively or straightforward for ChatGPT, whereas Claude has it right there for you. So if you haven't tried it, try the writing styles within Claude. It's really amazing. Um,
Yeah, look into that one
so
for sure.
yeah, so that's one. And then I also built a lot of cool GPTs on ChatGPT, out of which the notable one is I built a GPT called Prompt Master Studio, which lets us write efficient and effective prompts. So I feel this is primarily coming from me feeling prompt engineering is such an underrated skill, um, and we'll only gain more tractions as we see AI evolve. So I want, it's not more about writing more effective prompts. It's about mindset of how do you ask these AI systems, right? What do you think when you are asking something to Claude or to ChatGPT? So I have built, I'll share the link with you as well. Maybe you can share it with everybody. It's called Prompt Master Studio. It's available publicly on as a GPT on ChatGPT, where you can go to it. It will guide you to write an effective prompt, and the end result is an effective prompt for it.
Mm.
and it will um, it, you can just use the prompt to get the action output. Let's say you're developing something with Python, it will give you some steps to efficiently answer some questions, and then the end result is a effective prompt, which you then give it back to GPT or Claude, and then you will see your outputs becoming more effective
Cool.
with the
Yeah,
use
yeah.
of that. So,
Please share that. I'll share it with the good
yeah,
people.
yeah.
Okay, and
So
yeah.
I'm also a heavy user of Perplexity. Actually,
Oh
I use it
yes.
for all of my search. I'm not googling anymore. It's an amazing tool. And the most important thing is Perplexity also gives an API, which uh, especially like for research or my framework, right? The framework that I built, the search tool which goes out and brings cutting edge information for the automotive research uses Perplexity. It helps in research grounding. So it offers more efficient cited sources and so forth. So the Perplexity API is amazing, amazing for that. I'm actually using it in my framework. So these are some of the things that I regularly use. There are a lot more things, but these to my mind.
Yeah, but Perplexity is amazing. We've got a link to some of our sales tools for market research, and yeah, it's super accurate. I don't feel like I have to fact
Yeah,
check it all the time.
exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it's great.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
cool. And final question. What's one book, podcast, or paper that's really challenged the way you think about leadership or just in general technology/innovation?
Uh, I don't read a lot of books, but I listen to a lot of podcasts. The one podcast that really stuck with me is Lex Fridman's conversation with Andre Karpathy about
Mm,
AI and software. It's a really long podcast. I think it's over 3 hours or something. But Karpathy was the best, right? Amazing. He said something in the podcast that stuck with me. The future, like software engineer, will be somebody who can effectively collaborate with AI, not necessarily someone who writes the most code. Right?
mm,
There is that subtle difference. So the reason why it stuck with me is because I'm a firm believer that aptitude can be taught, but attitude cannot. So you
mm.
need to have that attitude to collaborate with AI and not, uh, think of it as a threat. So I think that's what stuck with me. So traditional approach, for example, towards software deployment, is define requirements or write stories, then build solution, then test and deploy. But with AI, you need to like experiment constantly, iterate based on what AI can actually do well, and most importantly, be comfortable with the uncertainty, right, around AI. So, what was that's primarily what is spoke about in that podcast. So this mindset helped me succeed, and it is also continuing to help me succeed. So I'm a firm believer that the leaders who will succeed in the next decade are those who can work with AI as a collaborator and not compete with as a threat. That's what I firmly believe.
Yeah, really like that approach. I think it's highly logical. I'm a big fan of the Lex Friedman podcast. There's a few on there, but
Yeah.
frankly, I'm not a software engineer, so I didn't listen to that one, but maybe I should go back and listen to it. Um, cool. That wraps it up. Thank you so much, Pavan, for coming on today, sharing your knowledge. Really loved having you on. You shared, insights from cultural, technical perspectives. I think people find useful. Um, thank you again.
Thank you for having me. The pleasure is mine. I think it was a really good conversation. I enjoy talking about AI ML because I've been doing it for quite so long. But yeah, this was really, really engaging and good conversation. Thank you.